Good evening, everyone. I am starting this vlog very late at night. I say very late at night. It's not. It's 8:30 in the evening. I was gonna add this Scotland trip in with the last video, but I figured that would make the video like 2 hours long. So I decided, we're keeping you up. I decided to do it in a separate video, just a little bit of an extra in the middle of the week. So hopefully you will enjoy it. He smells so good. I had to give him a bath. Yeah. Anyway, the house is pretty much back to normal. I will show you everything now. Everything's looking very lovely. And yeah, I'm really, really happy. It's taken George a couple of days to kind of settle on the sofa, but he's kind of got there now. He's cool. But yeah, in this video, we're going to take a little trip to Lakeside. We're going to get a couple of bits. Obviously, I'm back from Scotland now, so I'm kind of talking in future sense of past self because we have been to Lakeside and got a couple of bits. And then I'm going to take you with us on our Scotland trip. We hired a van. I will talk all about that in the video as well. And there's also a little sneaky. I had to sneak in to Hobbycraft because I hadn't actually been to Hobbycraft at this point. A few videos back, you'll realise that I noticed we had a Hobbycraft in Lakeside for the first time. So I was quite excited about it. He's very tired, so I'm going to go get him settled on the sofa. And I hope you enjoy the video. So like I said, everything is back to normal. Everything has found its home again. The bookcases still need a bit of a zhuzh. We kind of just threw everything back on there. But the sofas themselves, as soon as I turn the light on, they do look really bright green, but they're actually dark green in reality. And they came with awful cushions that I actually couldn't get them to not send me them. They were like, oh no, they come with the sofa. I was like, but I don't like them. So I've just covered them with like 20-year-old cushion covers just for now because they were so offensive. The footstool is from Dunelm. I just bought myself a little faux brown leather foot puff for my feet. The sofas are from Oak Furnitureland and they are called the Jasmine. And we also got a new sideboard that is also from Oak Furnitureland and that is called the Detroit. The old sideboard that was directly behind this wall where the new one is has now gone under the stairs and that houses all of our shoes and the printer is in there. Like, we've got no other space for that printer, honestly. And it's just easier under the stairs because George can't reach it. Honestly, every time we went to print something, he'd be jumping up trying to get the papers. The kitchen, again, the worktops are a little bit messy because I've done dinner tonight, so a few things have to go in the dishwasher. But other than that, everything is back in those new units on the left hand side. They are full up again. We had a major storm blow through. That is why there are piddle pads by the back door, so excuse that. I also got a new washing machine. Figured I might as well. If you remember a couple of videos back, I said our washing machine has stopped spinning. I cleaned it out fully, but nothing worked. It totally gave up, and I figured while we've got the new floors, I might as well throw a washing machine into the mix. Let's go shopping and go to Scotland. Come out to get a few bits for the van. When we went away last time to the Champion, we forgot milk and I said we must get milk. We never got milk. We got there thinking it's fine, there'll be shops. There were no shops. So I am getting supplies. I'm getting like milk, bread, bacon, eggs, beans, just to make sure that we've got it in the van before we even leave our postcode. But guys, I just went to get some extra dog food for George. We've got enough to cover the trip to Scotland. And I just want to make sure we've got ample when we get back. I had to listen. I know, but in my defence, it's going to be cold up there. Everyone's told us, make sure you pack your thermals, which we don't have. I'll just layer up. Jumpers, gloves, scarves. It's going to be freezing. It's going to be Baltic, Arctic, blah, 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 blah. So I thought, well, I might as well get George another little jumper. By the way, he doesn't mind wearing warm clothes when it's cold. We don't have to, I would never force him to wear clothes, but he, oh my gosh, how gorgeous is he? How gorgeous. Tim is going to be like, Does he really need a jumper? He's a dog. Yes, they do. Yes, in the freezing cold, Tim. Yes, they do. He knows that. I'm only kidding. But I got this. He is a small, so he's 33. His back is only 33 centimetres. So if any of you have got a ruler, he's 33 centimetres from the back of his neck to the tip of his tail. And this is the small, designed for 31 to 36 centimetre dogs. How beautiful is it? The van has got heating. I'm just being a bit extra because I can. Do you know what I mean? My friend Jo, you would have seen me walking with my friend Jo and her King Charles Cavalier. She's just bought her King Charles a coat and it's too small for her dog. She thinks it might fit George, so I'm going to pop round there later and pick that up. But listen, Linda, listen. We're going to Edinburgh for Halloween. We're gonna be there on Halloween and hopefully we'll be doing a ghost walking tour on Halloween. So I'm sorry, it's a really thin t-shirt material. All of their costumes in there, they were massive, big, bulky. The dog had to put their legs through. They had hoods. I was like, George, there's no way. I wouldn't. He's so used to wearing like thin jumpers and thin like bandanas. He loves all of that, so I just got him a nice little thin, super thin t-shirt. Depending on the weather, if it's freezing cold, it's going to be covered up with a coat anyway. But how cute is that? He just puts his two little paws through and then he has space to do all of his business. And then I got him another coat. I don't think you can have too many coats. The thing is with George, because he's such a short dog, sorry, how dare they? Because George is such a short dog, whenever he goes to the toilet, sometimes he'll try and cock his leg, but then sometimes he'll totally miss everything and wee on himself. So he'll wee and then it will just go straight to the backs of his front legs. And I'm like, you're not noticing that warm trickle down the front. Anyway, so they do rotate through the wash because obviously he's short. This band here just about misses. I know, Claire, too much information, but it's true. It's reality of having a little dog. It just about misses the band, but sometimes he catches the band. So then this will go straight in the wash and then I'll use a different coat. But I got him another coat. I love red on him because he's a black dog. I love red. Yeah, I got him another coat in the right size. And this is a super thick fleecy for Arctic weather. And then, oh my gosh, guys. It doesn't matter that it doesn't squeak. He doesn't like it for the squeak. He had one of these when we first got him and it was his favourite toy from Pets at Home. He absolutely loved it. And if anyone's seen Stickman, has anyone seen Stickman on Netflix or... Yeah, it's Netflix. I'm sure it's Netflix. Stickman. I'm Stickman. It makes me want to cry. But Christmas is coming. So anyway, I got him another stick and they were only £1 today. So I got him two and I'll save one in the drawer for a year's time when this is battered. And I got him a... Oh, Tim's going to kill me. Christmas. Listen, George loves pigs. If you've seen any of my videos with George, there's always a pig in the background. He's got 3 pigs currently and he just beelines for the pigs. Everything else doesn't really get him the way the pigs get him. And Pets at Home have got a new pig. It's Christmas. I do question, you know, I'm like, does it need to be there? And does it need to be so big? And his other pig has got a huge hole here. I just think there's fine. There is fine, guys. It's fine. I just like, I look at this and it takes me places. I'm just saying. These are his favourite balls. He really loves the yellow. Yellow is the most predominant colour that dogs can see. So I do try to stay away from reds. He can't really see these balls at all. If we take them to the grassy area, he's like looking for it. So I got him 2 fresh yellow balls for Scotland. And that's it. Alright, that's it. I didn't go too crazy. But I also went a little bit crazy. Now, my plan is to go to Tesco's and get like the bacon, eggs and all that, but I'm thinking I might go to Lidl's because Lidl's will have everything I need for half the price of Tesco's. I've got my bag. If you don't watch my other channel, I'm a bit crafty on my other channel and I made this bag, but I didn't show it on my other channel because I don't want to offend people over there. I know a lot of my followers don't like swearing and stuff, but I made this bag and on the back it says I am an autumn. So I've got that to bring to Tesco's with me. Lidl's. We're gonna go Lidl's. We'll go Lidl's because Lidl's is next door to the range. This was the day before we actually left to go up to Scotland. We hired a van from a company here called Quirky Campers, and they're basically like a middleman of all of the privately owned kind of renovated vans in the country. So yes, we hired a van. This is the day before, and honestly, I'm just such a last minute shopper. I know I said I was going somewhere else, but I did actually pop into TK Maxx because I needed the toilet. How bad, guys? I've said it in a previous video. Honestly, I can't cope with being out of the house too long because I always need the loo. So I always just go to the back of TK Maxx because they've got the nicest toilets. Then I decided to go in to the range and I popped into Lidl's. But first, I popped into Hobbycraft. I couldn't resist. It's like, it's been staring at me for a couple of weeks now, and it was time I went in. Now, bear in mind, this is before we went to Scotland, so this is before Halloween. They still had all of their pumpkins on sale, and of course, I had to grab a basket. Even though I'm leaving for Scotland, I just couldn't resist. I had to go in. Everything just brought back so many memories of the days when I used to go to Hobbycraft a lot. I did decide to pick up some gorgeous Christmas acrylic paints. I got the red, grey and white just to top up my own supply. And then I kind of got giddy at the fabric, but £21? I don't think so. I don't know, like, is that... To me, that's expensive. I know Hobbycraft is a very expensive craft shop, but the way everything's just laid out, I just want it all. And this whole cricket section, and then I saw this wall. I was literally drooling. I actually don't like cricket vinyl though, so that was just a godsend. So I didn't actually spend any money. And then I saw all of this small world kind of like, you know, crafty bits, and it just reminded me of a lot of my friends who like to do dioramas and like small world things. This fur reminds me of the sock gnome Santa beards. If you follow me on the channel, you know I did a sock gnome. And then I saw this £7,000, guys, for a Glowforge. I already work with Xtool over on my other channel, and they sent me a machine, and I think the machine they sent me is £1,000. I didn't realise that the Glowforge was £7,000. So many people on my other channel were like, oh, I've got a Glowforge, I love it. I'm like, wow, I have rich people following me. Anyway, I saw the Fimo. It had to be purchased. It had to be. I had a plan for this Fimo. I was going to make some kind of like Fair Isle printed, screen printed jumpers. This was before that video even came out on my other channel, and then I saw all of these blanks because I've got the heat press, and I was like, oh, could make some pencil cases, you know. Then eco resin. Hello, Hobbycraft. Eco resin in Hobbycraft. It's £20 per kg, which is relatively good compared to others that are out here right now. The Das air dry clay that I use all the time on my other channel, £4.50. It's £4 in the works, and out of principle, I will go out of my way to go to the works and get it for £4 because it's not that far. I just got a few little bits. Honestly. I didn't go too crazy. And then I saw fillable crackers. Does anyone else here make their own Christmas crackers? Let me know in the comment section down below. I do love a Christmas cracker. And I'm sorry, but if you don't wear your hat, you need to get up and leave the Christmas table, because are you even celebrating Christmas if you haven't? The next day, it was time to head on our road trip to Scotland. This is the van that we hired from Quirky Campers. This is called the Maria van, and this is a self-converted, privately owned van from a lovely couple down in East London. And honestly, the van itself is absolutely beautiful. As soon as I saw photos online, I was like, look at that kitchen. Look at the kitchen. It's just stunning. They actually provide you with everything you will need for your stay, like pots, pans, cutlery, cups. They even provided us with tea bags, coffee, sugar. The storage was pretty decent. It had these 2 chairs. either side, which are obviously over the wheel arches, but they are great storage boxes with cushions on top. Then underneath the bed, there's this kind of like pull-out drawer. We just put all of our snacks in there, to be honest, and yeah, just ate snacks all week. The actual table pulls out then, and you can eat your dinner while you're sitting on each of those stools. And then the storage drawers, they were great. All of Tim's clothes fit into the top drawer, and all of my clothes fit into the bottom drawer. So it's not like the van we hired 2 years ago. Oh my gosh, that was just rubbish in comparison to this. It was a daily task to remember to lock these drawers before we drive anywhere or, move off of our pitch. Underneath then, you've got the heater, you've got all of the plug sockets, the USB sockets, and then all across the top of the van, you've got this ample storage that literally runs the length of the van. So we put all of our tinned foods up there, like really ambitious, thinking we were going to cook. There was a pub and restaurant on site on our campsite, guys. So very little cooking was done. They actually provide you with everything you'll need as well. Like I said, everything you'll need for your trip, everything I could have even thought of bringing was there in the van. So it was really, really cool. The only thing I did do was bring my own cups. I am not about to have a cup of tea out of a tiny cup. I'm not about that life, so I bought my giant mug. The fridge as well was a decent size, and of course it needs to be locked every time you leave your pitch and drive away. They did have a wine cooler. Not quite sure why you'd have that. Just unnecessary for me, to be honest. But yes, they had all of the things. They even provided herbs, spices, salt, pepper, tea, coffee, hot chocolate, sugar. It was unreal, and all the lights were touch, which I loved. You could just tap them on, tap them off. The bed itself, we will get into that later on. It looks bigger in the film than it was in real life. On the actual advertisement, they class that bed as a double. But if you read the small print, I didn't read the small print. I just saw double, and I thought, oh, it's okay. I could slum it for a while. We've got a super king now. So I was like, maybe I'll just be okay. Maybe I'll be okay in a double. But the truth is, it wasn't a double. I'm 5'3", and my head was touching and my feet were touching both sides of the van. But we will get into that. George did amazing. George was my biggest concern. You saw the dog bed that we bought him from Costco's. That's now his car seat. I couldn't believe how well he did. The vet told me that if he sits up front in the vehicle, you might find that he does better at travelling. And that was definitely the case when it came to this van. Of course, it's a van. We're a lot higher up off the ground. But yeah, wow. The drive was absolutely spectacular. We stayed the first night. We stopped halfway. So we stopped after 4 hours purely to just not have to drive the full 8 hours, 9 hours. We stopped halfway in Yorkshire, and the next day, there it is. We drove into Scotland. Honestly, every time I see that sign, I could wet myself. We actually drove up the A1, so we drove the coastal route. There's 3 solid motorways going into Edinburgh, and we took the A1. So this was all along the coast, and I am telling you, despite the weather, it was stunning. This was when I was just so grateful I'm not driving. I could actually look out and see the ocean and see the waves crashing and just see all of the most stunning scenery. And that's when I feel bad for Tim, because he has to keep his eyes on the road. And guys, the autumn, Scotland was autumning. The autumn, the colours, the trees blew me away. At this point, this is around the 27th of October. At this point, all of the trees still hadn't quite made it yet down south. They hadn't got the memo, and they were still quite green. Sure, there was a few autumn leaves on the floor a few weeks ago, but since then, nothing's really changed. But coming around this corner, I am telling you, the actual colours were just intense. The south didn't get the memo on that. It was just so beautiful. If you are in the UK and Scotland is within easy reach for you, and you haven't been, I fully recommend getting up there. We are only going to Edinburgh, as in the lowlands. We're not going to the Highlands of Scotland. We went there 2 years ago and it was out of this world spectacular, blew me away. Glencoe is my favourite place on earth. Granted, I've not been to many countries, but it was a wow. As we drove into Edinburgh, the sun came out and oh my gosh, I think we arrived around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and this was the entrance to our campsite. Guys, we stayed at Morton Hall campsite. This was just on the outskirts of Edinburgh city centre, so it's literally a 20-minute bus route into the city centre. Perfect for exploring Edinburgh. They've got huts, they've got caravans, they've got it all. And this was the drive from the main road. This is all of the private land owned by the Morton Hall estate, and it was stunning, absolutely stunning. And just as you come in, there's a huge garden centre, which of course I had to explore because, you know, Christmas. I was saying to Tim, why don't we just go to the garden centre for lunch? They've got a restaurant, knowing full well it was gonna be all completely Christmased out. As we've pulled in, I was like, I love it here already. I don't want to leave. Everything was just orange and red and rich and gold. And this is part of the Morton Hall estate. So these would have all been really old stable blocks and everything like that. And that's our van. And this was our pitch right here. The kitchen was incredible. They have a whole laundrette for you to use, and obviously most campsites have that, but the kitchen had like all these cooking facilities. You can actually hire the kitchen out for an hour to cook a whole Sunday roast, guys. I was just blown away by the facilities here. And then across the courtyard in these ancient buildings, you've got the shower blocks, the men's and the women's shower blocks, and it was just so quaint and probably the prettiest campsite I've ever seen. I will say the shower facilities are not the best. I've seen better. We saw better when we did the NC 500 2 years ago. This is the restaurant. Guys. I was staring at it like, no, I don't want to pay £50 for a burger. I prefer food on my plate. If you give me a plate with barely any food, I will stamp my feet like a child. But it was absolutely reasonable. I had the biggest, juiciest burger, chips, salad, and a drink. And guys, it was like £12.99. It was pub food, basically. But yeah, as soon as I saw the building, I thought, oh, this is a bit bougie, a bit posh for me. Absolutely stunning courtyard. This was actually the courtyard and the restaurant and the pub. This is the pub. I walked in and I was wowed by the pub. I loved it so much. This was the original actual stable block for the horses who lived on the estate. So this is a massive privately owned estate, and the pub and the restaurant are now in what would have been the stable block for the very rich people living in the very big house. It was just so beautiful. And for reference, a fish finger sandwich is $8.95 for reference. Because when I went to Maker's Central last year, I stayed at the Hilton and this fish finger sandwich was like £17 and I nearly died. Of course I didn't get it. We went on loads of walks. It's just 200 acres. 200 acres of privately owned woodland. We went on these walks and I saw actual real life fir trees, like real life Christmas trees, guys. We don't get them down south. They're very much a northern thing. But it was a mud bath. I can't pretend it wasn't a mud bath. It was chaos. We had a couple days of severe rain. Coated in mud. The one thing I did do in the van was I took our tent carpet so I could protect the floor. I also didn't use their bedding. They provided all the bedding, but I didn't use it. I took it all out at home and then I replaced it with all of our own bedding just in case George jumped up and muddied everything up. So I tried to protect the van as best I could, being as it's not my property. Of course they expect you to get the place a little bit dirty, but still, it was for my own peace of mind. They had this huge reception area. The staff were amazing. They had a games room. How cool is that? A games room and 2 pool tables in this games room. Me and Tim never got the chance to go in here, of course. Not sure how George would have reacted if we just spent the night in there playing pool and just left him standing watching. But yeah, it's not something we did, but very cool for families, very cool for kids. This is a map of the entire estate, and honestly, it was so beautiful. Bought in 1640. Yeah, bought in 1640. They also had Highland cows on site, or Heyyyyyy coos for anybody here from Scotland. You call them Heyyyyyy coos, I know. But yes, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. This mountain here, I didn't realise it was Moray Lothian Woodworks. I met him while I was in Scotland. He told us that is a ski slope, a dry ski slope. How cool is that? This was the garden centre. Oh my gosh, I was sneaky when I said to Tim, we should go here for lunch. He was like, yeah, let's do it. I knew full well I would be walking into a Christmas grotto. He was not happy. He was like, really? I was like, I know we've got to walk through it, but listen, the restaurant will be at the end, I promise. You can have a burger. But it was absolutely gorgeous. The Christmas trees as well, and the little Santas. I love anything Santa. The red, the deep red, the richness of it all, really beautiful. And the Christmas trees, guys, they had this one Christmas tree, it was 10 foot. 10 foot, I think. I'm looking at Tim doing my voiceover. He was probably thinking, hurry up. See that tall tree there, the tallest one? £600. £600, I'm sorry, what? But yeah, gorgeous. Really beautiful. We didn't hang around too long, to be honest. Tim bought a new kind of Harris tweedy hat. I wanted one of these Highland cows, but I realised they've all got metal stakes in because they're designed for the garden. Then we went back to the campsite. We went into the pub and we had a gorgeous dinner. There's actually, like I said, 200 acres of land with this campsite, and dogs have to be on lead at all times. And it was a struggle. Obviously, I'm going to obey the rules. Of course I am. But I was saying to one of the locals that, you know, George is used to being off lead. He's got amazing recall and there's nowhere around here to run. So we've got 200 acres, but he's not allowed to run free in those 200 acres. He has to be on lead. So this guy was like, well, take him into the walled garden. There's a walled garden. It's open for the public. You can just go in there and let him run. And oh my goodness me, it was the best. Knowing that we were completely enclosed in this like 1600s walled garden was very cool. It was soaking wet. It was a mud bath, but it was beautiful. The one thing on Tim's bucket list for Edinburgh was the Rosslyn Chapel. Now, Tim is very much into this, the whole castles and chapels, and I am too, but Tim is very interested in history, and this was very much his thing. Dogs were not allowed, so they allowed us both to go in separately on the one ticket, which was really handy. I stayed in the car park with George and Tim went in, and then Tim came out and I went in. Now, if you've seen the film The Da Vinci Code, this is the chapel that features in that film towards the end, I believe. I've never seen the film. I felt like I was the only one there that had never seen it. But this view honestly took my breath away. I was thinking, I wonder if this is what it's like in Connecticut or Vermont. You know what I mean? Or in Maine. Like, is this what it's like? Because we don't get these kind of colours down south. It's just different up here. I can't explain it. And I guess it makes sense because we've come north. But the chapel itself was absolutely beaming in the sun. This was a particularly beautiful day. We decided to go and travel to a couple of beaches. There was a couple of beaches. I think this was called Galan Beach. This was recommended to us. But sadly, we couldn't get anywhere near the beach. The parking was restricted for vans, any vehicle under 2 metres, which meant we could not park there because our van was 2.5. Then we went all the way over to North Berwick, which was about another 20 minutes down the road. Everyone was saying, look, go to North Berwick. You can just park on the street. But sadly, after driving around twice for about half an hour, we could not find a single parking space for the van. I just wanted George to run free. I wanted him to run along the beach. And I mean, it was gale force winds, but we're used to that here. I just figured it would be fun. But alas, it was not to be. So I got to see the sea. I just didn't get to stop. And I didn't get to paddle my feet in the -5-degree water. But nonetheless, it was absolutely stunning. We went back to the campsite. We hooked the van back up. We turned everything off, locked everything up. And then we got the bus into Edinburgh. And what a night. This was Halloween. So it was so cold, guys. When I tell you I was not ready. I was not ready for how cold this was. I thought 3 layers was going to be enough. I had my vest top on with like a jumper and a coat. And I was not ready. I had my scarf. Should have bought gloves. Should have bought my hat. They were in the van. I was deceived by the sun and the blue sky. By the time we got into Edinburgh, the sun was setting. It was stunning, spectacular. It was just everything I love about Edinburgh. Oh, it was so cold. I was suffering. We walked up the Royal Mile to Edinburgh Castle and oh my gosh, just in time for the sunset. It was just spectacular. There's no other words to describe it, with the mountains in the background, the sun setting, the silhouette of everyone walking past. But this wall that I'm walking up to right now is around 3 feet high and it's an instant plunge to certain death. So I did not get close. I was like, what is that wall all about? Of course I've been here before, but I don't remember. Like, we were at Edinburgh Castle 10 years ago. I've got no memory of it at all. The wall, as in, I remember the castle. I don't remember the wall. But yes, dogs are not allowed in Edinburgh Castle, but they are allowed up here in the courtyard. So you can come up, look at the views and take photos and just wow at the mountains and the sunset. We couldn't have timed this any better, honestly, if we tried. It was just the most beautiful time of day. Everything was glowing. Everything was glowing. And then we walked back down the Royal Mile and this restaurant, the Witchery, oh my gosh, guys, beautiful courtyard. Look at this. I honestly, as soon as I walked past, I was like, wow, look at this. Bearing in mind, this is on Halloween. I had to go in and I had to film it, take photos. It was the most beautiful display of pumpkins ever. Then I saw the doorman. The doorman came out with a tuxedo and a bow tie, and I immediately knew there'd be barely any food on those plates. The city came to life at night. I mean, there was already thousands of people, but honestly, it was bustling. It was really bustling and I loved it. I miss London for that reason. I miss the hustle and bustle and the people and the tourists and just the vibe that a city brings. But this city, with all of its dark history and architecture and everything that went along with it, and the freezing cold night, and it being Halloween and seeing so many people dressed up, amazing. So as I mentioned when I showed you guys the van, that the double bed wasn't actually a double bed. It was a lot smaller than a double bed. I was not coping at all. The first night we stayed in Yorkshire, we barely slept. We drove to Scotland very moody, not with each other, but with the fact that the bed was just ridiculously small. And the second night, so the first night in Scotland, I just couldn't. I woke up literally crying, like, I can't stay here. I can't stay in this van for a week. This bed is gonna kill me. So yeah, I got this. I was on their website at literally 2 a.m. Have they got any accommodation available? All they had left were these little huts. And I was like, I need that hut. You've got one left. I need it for the week. And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry, darling. You know, I'm so sorry your van isn't. I said, listen, I just need to sleep. Sleep is more important to me than any money in the world. So I booked this. I had the whole thing to myself, guys. I'm not even angry about it, okay? It had a TV. Tim was like, oh yeah, off you go into your luxury. I said, you can sleep over there if you want. To me, it's not about where I sleep. It's about the fact that I need sleep. If I don't sleep, I'm a little bit psychotic, as is anyone if they don't get a decent sleep. So that was my accommodation for the week. And yeah, it's not what was planned. I would have rather spent the week sleeping in the van with Tim and George, but sadly it just wasn't to be. But beautifully comfortable. I did end up putting the entire bed down, so I had a bed that was twice the size of a super king. It was pure luxury. We got home, and that is when all chaos ensued with the new flooring going in the house. And that is the video that you saw prior to this. So if you missed that, go back and check it. This was 3 days after the floor went down. A major storm rolled in, Storm Debbie, which really lashed up north. We only got the edges of it, but even then it was strong enough and wild enough to flood our roads and shred our gazebo, guys. The gazebo that protected all of my belongings outside in the garden while the new floors were laid. There was still 2 pieces under there, which is why we hadn't brought it in yet, and we weren't watching the news, so we didn't know about the storm rolling in. But hey, I'm gonna sew the gazebo up and it will be fine. Hey guys, this was, I feel like, a very randomly placed together video. A little bit of Hobbycraft, a little bit of Scotland, but I hope you have enjoyed it. And my next video will be out as normal on Sunday, so I thought I would just put this out kind of like midweek-ish, just to get the film out there, and hopefully on Sunday we will have some Christmas content, and I'm so excited for it.